Well, to discuss the situation in Iraq further, we're joined by Dr. Salah Al-Shaikhly, the former Iraqi ambassador to Britain. Thank you very much for coming to speak to us here on World News Today. Sunni tribal leaders are saying that they could potentially be willing to work with the new Prime Minister as long as their rights are protected. What are they calling for?
Well, they have been for a couple of years demanding to be part of a decision-making process. Their complaint was that decision was taken in Baghdad totally separate from the Sunni community. However, we just had an election and all communities have elected their own representative to parliament. I think, number one, the new Prime Minister, who's a very intelligent and very pragmatic person, needs to consult the people who have been elected to parliament, who have good representation in parliament of Sunni blocs, and I'm sure he's going to consult with the tribal leaders, appropriate tribal leaders, but I must sound a word of caution. We need to be very constructive on this. We need to be, the Prime Minister need to widen his advisories beyond the close circles that he at present dealing with.
Put it into context for us. Just how significant is it for these Sunni tribal leaders to even say that they're willing to consider working with Haider al-Abadi?
It is quite significant because, you see, they were not shying away from participating in the political process. What they were saying said, we want to participate, and unfortunately, previously, they were barred from participating. They were accused of all sorts of things. They were accused of harboring terrorists. They were accused of being incubators for terrorism. And that they cannot accept because these people had been tried and proven to be good nationalists. During the Al-Qaeda surge, during Petraeus' time, they did help in restraining the Al-Qaeda, in fact, diminished to nothing. So these are patriots who actually want to work with the government, want to advance national interest.
Okay, so why did Haider al-Abadi, when Nouri al-Maliki was in power, why did he not use his influence there to try and influence Nouri al-Maliki to be more inclusive?
Well, I think if you follow the news, you will find that the previous Prime Minister had a close circle of people whom he depending for advice. And this is really one of the problems why everybody wanted a change of leadership. Because Haider al-Abadi was a chairman of another parliamentary committee, and consequently he was concentrating on his work. I think the situation is quite different now. The country is facing a huge problem with ISIS and the near occupation of 1/3 of Iraq.
We've got now this the EU saying that member states can help to arm the Kurds. Are you happy that that has happened, and are you concerned that this could see the beginning of an autonomous Kurdish region?
In fact, this is good news. I have no fear about the autonomous Kurdish region, simply because the Kurds have been good Iraqis. They willingly, in 2003, came to Baghdad. They wanted to participate in the political process.
They want their own land. They want to be completely autonomous.
Well, eventually, perhaps they do, because, you see, if we had managed to solve the problem in 1918, we wouldn't have had the Kurdish problem now. The problem is, every single Iraqi government that came to power in Baghdad decided to put them down. And these are proud people. Of course, they want their own national, they have their own national aspirations, but nothing to do with whether or not they want to acquire arms from the EU. They want to acquire arms to defend the borders that extends from all the way from Syria to Iran, which they are facing a huge pressure from ISIS.
Okay, Dr. Salah Al-Shaikhly, the former Iraqi ambassador to Britain, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts.